What's up, YouTube? Just made it to Gobi Desert. Climbing for the last couple days to get here to this beautiful oasis. Just want to talk a little about my specialized Stumpjumper Evo. I bought it about a month ago. So I ended up getting a pretty good deal on this bike. But the biggest reason why I bought it was because the two main things was the geometry of the bike and the spec. To start with geometry, this bike I ended up getting the size S3. Specialized does two sizes in their Evo models, similar to their demo downhill bike. They don't have a small, medium, large, XL. They just have long or longer. I opted for longer. I'm 5'8". So typically on a regular trail, this is larger than a size XL normal Stumpjumper, which I can't fit on. They make a really short seat tube on this bike to be able to fit. You pick the size based on the style of riding you do. I bought this bike to have it be a bike just for the bike park, essentially. I will be taking it to Whistler this year. I've been doing a lot of just local laps here up in the Northwest on it. The two big things that I liked about the geometry: 63.5 degree head tube angle, 76 degree seat tube angle. So, it's not the best climber, but because of the seat position, it's a lot more comfortable climbing than a lot of other bikes. It's 150 mil of travel up front, 150 in the rear, 27 5-inch wheels. So really fun, playful bike. Not the poppiest bike I've ever had, but definitely a lot harder charging than those poppy bikes that I'd owned, like the Pivot Switchblade. The reach on this thing is a 490, which is kind of insane. I've seen that the last full suspension that I owned was closer to about 445. I have done a couple things to the bike. I ended up I went to Vancouver, BC about a month ago and rode some classic North Shore trails. Bit it pretty hard and ended up ruining my rear derailleur. So I upgraded my rear derailleur from NX to GX. I went with a shorter stem because I am not the biggest, since I'm not the biggest guy. 490 reach was really fun downhill, but when it came to climbing, I just felt like I was way too stretched out. So I went from a 45 mil stem to a 31 mil stem, threw a Chromag Ranger stem on there, then paired it with a set of Chromag bars. The spec of the bike, right out of the box was perfect for me. Fox 36 up front, nice and burly. DPX2, great for the descents. Just keeps the shock a little bit cooler with the external reservoir. SRAM Kodar brakes, which were my personal favorites. I've ran them on a couple of my last bikes, and I really enjoy the hard bite and the heat dissipation. 200 mil rotors front and rear. 12-speed NX Eagle drivetrain, Butcher front and rear. I went with a 27.5 by 2.6. I've ridden 2.3s. I have 2.8s. 2.6 is honestly like a perfect in-betweener size. They work great just about everywhere, and since this bike really isn't designed to be going uphill very fast or be the most efficient thing, I really enjoy the massive amounts of grip from it. Alright, so initial impressions of this bike when I first bought it. Our shop that I was working at had a demo bike. I've been a really big 29er fan for a really long time. The last couple bikes I've owned have all been 29ers. We only had a 27 5-inch in, so I was like, well, I'll ride one and just see what I think. I just wanted to kind of figure out what size I wanted, whether it was S2 or S3, and then buy the 29er version. I ended up loving the 27 5-inch wheels so much, I just bought that same exact bike for myself. What converted me to this bike was the flickability of the wheels. I like to jump a lot, and so it was really fun. It was super easy to get the bike, you know, moving and shifting in the air. Because it has such a long wheelbase and such a slack front end, it made it corner even better. 27 5-inch wheels corner better than 29s, but just the long wheelbase just kept everything super evenly weighted. It's a pretty long rear chainstay, which kind of adds to the stability at speed. I feel like a lot of people's concern with this bike is just it being too big and too slack. That was my initial thought, but I find that the faster you ride the bike, the more fun it is. So if you're riding a more mellow trail, like a more mellow blue trail, a little bit more flowy, it might not be as fun on this bike. Throwing a shorter stem on it makes the handling a little bit quicker and a little bit more fun on the slower trails. But as long as you're charging really hard and fast, it is a really enjoyable bike to ride on almost anything. I would say the type of rider to buy this bike is someone who they kind of want a quiver killer, where you can, I can take this to lift access bike parks. I can still pedal up hills. Really fun for shuttling, really fun jumping. All around, like the Specialized Stumpjumper has always been a really good all-around bike, but I just find with my style of riding, really like the really steep, gnarly, loose trails that the motherfuck.
They've been eating me alive.
God damn it. Like, I really like steep tech. I would say I kind of have an all mountain style, just kind of doing a little bit of everything. I ride with a lot of different people that all kind of like different stuff, so I'm able to ride this bike in a lot of different places and really enjoy it. So thanks for watching. Subscribe to PewDiePie.
That was great.
Yeah. Nice.